Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
Ooh, boy. Well, we have quite a Raw to talk about tonight. This is the 37th edition of the Post-Raw show, and this is about the 37th lethal injection of desperation they have thrown into Raw. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being facetious, of course. But tonight, once again, it seems they've been doing this every few months. They have tried to press the reset button with Monday Night Raw. Tonight, their latest idea, their latest and greatest, is to do this thing called the Wild Card. What's the Wild Card? We're going to give you all the details as we go.
If I hear that word tonight, I'm going to go crazy.
What's that, Wild Card?
Wild Card. Oh my God, it's going to haunt my dreams.
Automatically
tonight.
Tired of it immediately?
Immediately. Within the first 5 minutes of it, I was tired of it.
I know. It's something up. It's something.
It's something.
Let's say hi to the people in the chat room, though. And we appreciate everybody coming out to check us out again tonight. Yes, thank you so much. We have, Quentin, of course, is always in the room. Quentin Walters. We have Graham Costigan Cripps. Have we ever had Graham before? I don't think so.
I've heard of a Graham, but it may not be the same individual, so I don't want to. It's
possible.
It's
possible.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome, Graham. Anyway, Billy Hefner's in the chat room. We have Ashley in the chat room. Ashley is my name, UK. Sweet Louis Veraldi in the room. Let's see who else. We got Jason F. If you're in the room, just say hi, and we'll make sure we say hi to you throughout the night. Hello. All right. Well, this, like I was saying, there are a lot of issues with this show. There really are. There's a lot of issues with WWE, period, at this moment in time, and it's just not pretty. The excitement level, the engagement metrics that they look at, they've never been higher. But it just seems like interest is like super low. Yes, I get it. It's post WrestleMania. There is a WrestleMania hangover going on right now. But the metrics that I use to look at engagement in the wrestling media and what people are talking about. Yeah, people talk about this show, but it's always in a negative aspect. And, they'll get people talking tonight, but it was just another bad show. Like automatically, I'll just tell you right now, I thought the show was, for the most part, pretty wretched and just reeking of desperation. But it's going to take a lot more than some wild card. We'll talk about all the problems with the wild card tonight.
Stop saying wild card,
as well as all of the issues with this brand split now in general. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you have to have, it's one thing to have a reset, like, I'm not saying once a year. You should probably have it like twice a year. And especially with the fall season, it's always like when they, you get that hangover after SummerSlam too, I find. And that's I find that's the biggest one, even more so than WrestleMania, because you have football and you have other things to compete with and new shows and stuff like that. So the fact that there has to be this major reset and so much attention is drawn to it is not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's really not. And because what they're doing to rectify the situation is not helping. Because there's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of, like, with the shakeup in particular, there's just not enough. Like, you saw these people recently, so it's not really that exciting when somebody comes back to Raw or somebody comes back to Smackdown. And if anything, you're actually, especially if Raw is not doing as great as it should be and Smackdown's doing better, you're just highlighting the fact that Smackdown's the better show. The fact that you have to bring in SmackDown superstars into your Raw, into just to do this wild card and whatever. But it's overall.
Well, they've automatically just basically removed. It remains to be seen how long they keep up with this wild card thing and what the what the implications are going to be. They
just,
might drop it next week for all we know.
This
the way things are going.
Though, that like the shakeup and having a different roster is just pointless.
Yeah.
Essentially, it should really just be together. All the stars are just. You don't know if you're going to get on SmackDown. You don't know if you're going to get them on Raw.
I know, and of course the argument against that would be, oh, but they have so many stars, and this brand split is creating so many, is giving so much opportunity to people that they wouldn't have before.
You can argue all you want.
Yes, I need to see the Revival with Icy Hot all over their balls. That's the opportunity that we're getting to see.
Listen, I have a rant about that later, but
yeah.
But I'm just saying. But one can argue all they want. They're losing their argument regardless because the shakeup was a botch in itself.
The shakeup was just an absolute unmitigated mess. It was horrible. They undid half their picks the next week, and then people are just showing up left and right. Oh, Cesaro's on Raw. Well, guess what? Now we haven't seen Cesaro in 2 weeks on Raw. But we've seen the Revival in WWE comedy, that's for sure. Oh yes,
and
yes,
listen,
we have seen that. But now we had the Superstar shakeup. Now we have the Wild Card. Okay, so let's just explain what it is.
Yeah,
I know you don't like the name. I'm not a big fan of the name either. So basically, what happens is Vince came out on Raw tonight to kick off the show because Roman Reigns was going to be there. And he was told on Twitter not to show up, but he showed up anyway.
Ooh, Twitter.
I know. So McMahon goes, you just think you can do whatever you want and the crowd will love it. And he was expecting the crowd to say, yeah. And they got, this Cincinnati crowd was brutal tonight.
But I felt bad for them.
Well, they got, for the most part, they at least had a show where they were trying really, really hard. So they didn't, you know what? But that's also an issue here too, because it's like, what is there to be excited about? Okay. I mean, we can talk about the real issues of WWE. We could just completely skip Raw tonight and just go to town on what the real issues
to this wild card
with
thing
WWE
now.
is. Yes, I'll explain what this wild card thing is and just why it's just not gonna freaking work. Anyway, so McMahon comes out, Reigns is out. McMahon said, "Well, if you could just show up, there would be anarchy if everybody just thought they could show up." And then Daniel Bryan, who we haven't seen since WrestleMania, makes an appearance. Undisclosed injury, allegedly. He was just recently cleared, and here he is. Daniel Bryan, for the first time since WrestleMania, is here. And he said that, he saw that Reigns was coming, so he figured he could come as well and have an intellectual conversation with Vince McMahon because he was robbed by Kofi Kingston and has spent the last month in solitude, which brought out then WWE Champion Kofi Kingston. So these are all SmackDown guys coming out. Even TDE Wrestling said excited for Monday Night SmackDown. And McMahon just looked disgusted. Brian says that Kingston's win was a fluke, and the last 11 years of Kingston's career was so hard because he never should have been there in the first place. Finally, McMahon cuts him off and said he had an epiphany. What if they have a wild card rule? What if he allowed 3 members of SmackDown to come to Raw on a given occasion? What if he had Raw superstars come to SmackDown on a given occasion? And then he calls himself a genius and was looking for a pop and didn't get it.
He's brilliant.
And Vince McMahon usually does get a pop. So for him to strike out here, pretty telling about what the crowd thinks of this product at the moment. Kingston says he saw Reigns' tweet, figured he'd just show up too. And Bryan's here for a rematch. That brings up Drew McIntyre, and now we're going to get these WrestleMania rematches. Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre tonight in a WrestleMania rematch that everybody wanted to see because everybody loved it at WrestleMania. And for the WWE Championship, Kofi Kingston will defend against former champion Daniel Bryan.
Well, here, listen.
But that's what they're doing. So every week now, 3, and then it later got up to 4. Even though we had 5 SmackDown wrestlers on the show tonight, we had 5.
Again, that plot hole right there. They can't.
The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing in this company. No. They had to even explain it away. They'd say like, "Oh, Elias doesn't count because he came with Shane. So that doesn't count." Oh. And then because Lars Sullivan showed up, making our 5th SmackDown superstar of the night, Vince said, "Oh, maybe we'll do 4 then." It's like, what? It just stinks. It really just was just poorly thought out, poorly planned. It was like,
Listen, I'm not
what
gonna
the
lie.
hell is going on here?
I'm not gonna lie. When Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston were out there, there was a big part of me that was actually pretty excited about it, because I do like the SmackDown roster. You know what I mean? And I do like those superstars. So there was a big part of me that I was like, oh, I'm excited and this might go over well and everything. But then everything else that happened tonight negated my feelings of excitement from the beginning of the night. So it really just kind of washed away whatever I was feeling initially.
Right.
Any excitement that I had didn't live up to his expectations.
Right. Well, this to me felt very, very much like when they started doing super shows. I think it was starting in like 2009, 2010. Raw was a super show every week, where Raw and SmackDown superstars would be on the show, and it just eventually every show was a super show, and then it just, there was no more brand split. They're incapable of doing a brand split because they're incapable of creating superstars that are worth watching on 2 different brands. Okay, so we can do wild cards all we want, get all these fresh matchups. Yes, because Roman Reigns and Elias and Lars Sullivan were all on Raw within the past 3 weeks. So it's and Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns ad nauseum for the better part since the fall. So it really felt like nothing changed. Roman Reigns was gone for 3 weeks, and now he's back because they think that, oh, that's why ratings dropped off, because Roman Reigns isn't there. It's like, no, that's not why. Not why.
There's a deeper
issue, obviously, and it's like, I don't mean to impugn Roman Reigns, but if anything, if it's shown anything, and look, I'm a fan of him forever because of what he went through, but he's just not he's not that guy that's gonna be a giant ratings mover. He's a star. There's no doubt about it. He has great matches. He always puts out a solid performance, but he's not a needle mover here. They don't have any needle movers on the roster at all. You go to Saudi Arabia. What are the superstars being advertised in a big way? Goldberg, The Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. Hulk Hogan wasn't advertised, but he probably will make an appearance, I would guess.
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, well, Shawn Michaels sold one of the shows for sure. But all the old stars. By the time these people make it through NXT and show everybody what they can do in NXT and get people behind them, only for them to then come up onto the roster with no plans. They are extremely limited in what they're allowed to do, and they have to have matches on a weekly basis that go through multiple commercial breaks. It's impossible to get over. And then they just start beating these people left and right. They can't create superstars because by the time they get to the main roster, the writing just kills them. The writing is just, and it really showed tonight. These shows have felt thrown together for the last couple weeks. Last week's show especially felt thrown together. Like it was just an absolute nothing was planned going into that show. And here it is. And now it's like, now it seems like they may have put a little bit of thought into tonight's show, but the writing is just still so bad. It's like, we're only going to have 3. And then we're going to swerve them and get 4. But then they brought 5. It's like they don't know. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. I literally think because this brand split was just so hunky-dory and just so weird and just so poorly planned that somebody's probably like, oh, Elias is backstage. Let's use him tonight. They probably forgot that they drafted him to SmackDown or something crazy like that. It's just, what the hell?
No, here's my opinion on it. I feel like with this whole situation, it's not going to be a quick fix. So whatever they were thinking tonight, that they have to really sit and think about what the plan is going forward. Even if it means that more of your Raws are going to be lesser quality of what you want and what you expect, you still need to sit and think about it. It kind of equates to the idea of when we talked about last week about with the women. If you're going to have the women and you want them to be equal, you want quality stars who are going to be able to produce and be able to put on a good match and whatnot. So the same thing kind of has to happen here. You can't make it like a quick little, oh, this is going to change everything and think that's going to solve the problems of what's going on here. So my whole thinking is that even if it means lesser quality Raws for the next maybe month or so, they really need to sit down with the writing staff and see like what's going on here. Like what can we do to improve and what consistency can we have on these shows? So I don't know. It to me, if it were me running the company, I would just sit down and I would say to myself, let's figure this out. We really need to do an actual reset, because these resets that they're having aren't exactly resets. They're kind of just like, oh, let's just put a Band-Aid on it, but we're not actually...
Yeah, let's just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Like, I don't know. To me, I just, like I said, if it means having a month of Raws where they're not as good, but they're really, really trying to make an asserted effort to have a true reset, I would be down. I would be okay with that, because knowing that there's like a deeper picture and something down the line that's going to be better quality. And I'm not looking for spectacular here at this point, but I'm looking for somewhat entertaining to the point where I don't feel like...
I'm looking for stuff that just by the end of the night, it matches up with what they were talking about at the beginning of the night. I'm looking for just a little quality control at this point. You know? Like I just want to see stuff that just kind of like makes sense. You know...
Another thing, though, less is
this,
more.
Yeah,
and
of course.
They never.
Well, that's impossible. To do less is more on a 3-hour show.
Gotten that. They have lost sight of that concept so much. And that, again, a broken record here. That's why SmackDown is the better show. They have 2 hours, and you have all these. Majority of the storylines are simple, but they make sense. Mm-hmm. And they're not like these crazy things going on. You don't need to have an insane storyline to make it effective.
I forgot what I was going to say. Darn, I had something I wanted to say. But Ashley just said in the chat that allegedly the head writer of Raw got fired this week for disrespecting Ranjan Singh backstage, not being a professional writer. And that was before tonight's Raw. But I would think that would make a big difference if everybody knows what goes on with this show. Every week they write it at some point. They write it on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then when they get to the arena, 73-year-old Vince McMahon takes that script, tears it up, and it's time to start writing again. Last week's show was not finished being written when they went on the air. That's the same with what happened 2 weeks ago, allegedly. So, you know, there could be a head writer of Raw. There's only one head writer, and it's Vince McMahon. You know, and that's a problem.
There's
there's also a real problem with this company, and yeah, like you were saying, less is more. You know, obviously the 3-hour thing. I'm not even going to get into that. We know that's a ginormous issue. We know that is just that's killer. That kills the show. The other problem is that yes, we can change things up and have all these different stars, and you're essentially on this show last week. I think what did they have? Back-to-back tag matches that were almost the exact same. All of their stuff is just so formulaic, right down to the matches that they have on TV. The promos are formulaic.
Yeah,
you know that they're gonna go for a while.
No, you're right.
And you're gonna speak. And then I'm going to wait for you to finish, and then I'm going to speak and insult everything about you and crush you verbally, and you're just going to stand there and say nothing. That's the formula for the promos.
Yep.
And the formula for the matches are heel dominates, face makes a little mini comeback at the commercial break, knocks him out of the ring. So-and-so was standing tall, commercial break. Come back, chin lock. You make the comeback. It's every single week. Tag matches are even worse, especially when the tag teams aren't that interesting. It's beat down, beat down, beat down, beat down of the face forever. Before the first commercial break, both the faces clear the ring and they stand tall and hit some kind of plancha. And then they come back. It's Chinlock City. The heels dominate the face, and then they make the hot tag, and they make we've seen and I remember talking about this with Greg McNeish when we co-hosted together Wrestleview Telemundo. If there's any Telemundo fans in the chat room tonight, please let me know. I love doing Telemundo. It was great. It was a great time in my life. And back then, we talked about the enormous amounts of tag matches on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And we talked about how WWE has a trademark tag match. That trademark WWE tag match has not changed one iota in years. And they do the same thing every week. You can change different components. It's the same match. That's why I love
finisher,
and somebody wins.
That's why I love NXT.
Well, NXT does. It's the same company. How do they have? I mean, yes,
because different people are running it.
Yes, people with different philosophies. One is running the NXT brand as a professional wrestling brand, and the other is running it as an entertainment brand. And what does it say about their ability to entertain? And I want to say hello to Jamel in the chat room, by the way. I have not done that yet, and Jamel's killing it right now. What does it say about the entertainment factor of this company that they put out 3 hours of television tonight, trying really, really hard? Let's not get it twisted here. They were trying really, really hard tonight. Really hard. And after Raw, I watched 3.5 minutes of Modern Family. And I laughed, and I caught myself. I just go, that 3.5 minutes of Modern Family was funnier and more entertaining than anything I watched on this show tonight. That's not good. That's not good. At the end of the day, you don't want to tune into something and just feel like this was just a drain on my life. This was just a waste.
If we didn't do the show, I wouldn't be watching.
Oh, well, yeah. It's like...
No, but it's true. I would because remember how when we were watching tonight, you're like, this is a TV, this is a change of channel moment. This is a change of channel moment. How many times did you say this is a change of channel moment?
There were a lot of wretched moments on this show tonight. Not with.
I wish I kept count of though how many times I said this is a change of channel moment.
There was one point where I lost my mind, and I started shouting at the TV, and Victoria came into the room to make sure that I was okay, because they had just done this. Okay, let's just talk about.
Yeah, why not?
Let's talk about this horrible segment with the Usos, because it was so funny, the shaving the back thing last week.
Yeah, that went over so well.
And kind of, insinuating some homosexual, undertones there. And
again, not a
as
fan.
If gay people are bad.
Not a fan.
And they're a punchline, which, oh yes, that makes me feel like they have their finger on the pulse of society today.
They're very inclusive.
Very, very inclusive. This week, they had the Usos switch out the Revival's Icy Hot that I guess they rub on each other's genitals with Oozy Hot, which is sweat activated. Apparently they had time to just work in I almost said it. An effing lab, an effing science lab, a product consumer lab, and create their own version of Icy Hot that scorches your scrotum because it's sweat activated. And they can even get it down to the second of when it will happen. This and then you have the Revival having to just jump around the ring and scream and slam themselves on the stage. And this is comedy. This is their version of comedy, and or punishing the Revival because they turned down deals yet again, and they are looking to leave, and so they're going to get as much humiliation out of them as possible. I mean, look at this. Yeah, maybe you could laugh at this gif because it's just so asinine. But when you're in the middle of a 3-hour show and this is what they're coming out with, it's bad. And
But
no one was laughing.
Who? I was gonna say
The only one who's laughing
laughed?
is the old guy in the back. That's it.
Oh my gosh, I would have loved somebody filming him. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
Because he probably was laughing.
He's laughing his tits off.
Hysterically, and everybody's just like, yeah, Vince, you're right.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Good one, boss.
Oh my gosh.
You're showing them who's boss, turning them into a bunch of cooks.
I really was so flabbergasted that they went there. I thought last week was bad enough, like I said, when you were talking about like the homosexual like innuendos and that drives me crazy just in general. But this tonight was just like so cheap and so
It was bad.
Humorless.
And
it was like,
and this was after the WrestleMania rematch with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre that ended in disqualification because Shane McMahon and Elias attacked Roman Reigns before he could pin Drew McIntyre. So you got a long match that the crowd was totally dead for. You got the cheap finish, whatever. I was expecting the cheap finish, weren't you?
yeah, of course.
Of course. And then you do this comedy. And then immediately after that, what do? Send out No Way Jose. Like, I don't care. And that's where I lost my mind. I was just like, I don't care if there's 900 WWE Championship main events tonight with 900 title changes. This is garbage.
I
If
really
you could,
thought you stubbed your toe. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, no, like the table collapsed on my legs.
Yeah.
Ah. No, I was just watching.
Me
wrestling.
and my whale self was like, what's going on?
I was just watching wrestling, which is supposed to make you feel happy and something you're supposed to enjoy. And it's just a slog to get through. And this show, it's more. It's going to take more than a wild card rule to get you excited for
That's
it.
what I said before. It's not a quick fix. This is something you need to really delve into and figure out what is going on with your product that people are not interested in. People are not finding funny. People are not finding any enjoyment out of it. What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not, it's not that hard to figure out though that there's a problem. And
Yeah.
I know, like, they're recognizing that there's a problem, but
Well-
they're not really recognizing that there's a problem because they're still going about it the completely wrong way.
Well, it's not just them that's realizing this issue. The stock market was incredibly underwhelmed with what they're presenting and the numbers that they're showing. I know that we've kind of tricked ourselves into thinking that ratings don't matter.
Of course they do.
They do. And if they didn't,
when there's money involved, of course they do.
And if they didn't matter, WWE would have just gone on business as usual. They saw the ratings for last week, where SmackDown
They had to respond.
where SmackDown did 1.8 million viewers, the lowest since the brand split began. Even lower than when it was going head to head with the State of the Union address. It's my God, it's like they really do realize that, like, oh my God, we need to get some momentum going into Fox to let Fox know that they made a good investment. Ratings still, are the be all end all in this company.
Yeah.
So when you see bad ratings, to them, that's the metric to pay attention to. And apparently for the stockholders too. Yes, they didn't lose a ton of money. They lost $1 billion in valuation. They're still worth $6 billion. And it's going to shoot up again when TV deals come through. And yeah, this company is foolproof. It would take a special... in fact, I don't even think there is a moron out there that could screw it up. It just makes money. The deal with the Saudis will keep them afloat for the next 9 years. For the next 9 years, they're going to be getting that Saudi money, big money, to go over there, unless they finally start a war, which I'm sure they are going to at some point in the next 10 years. There will be some kind of war with Saudi Arabia, I would imagine.
Whatever.
Whatever, exactly. And these TV deals they're solid for the next 5 years, but then it's like I'm thinking ahead to the 5 years after that. What is this company going to look like if they can't even luck into a superstar? They had one with Daniel Bryan. He got injured, and they did their damnedest to not let him be a superstar, to not make him a superstar. You know, they haven't even lucked into anything. They lucked into John Cena in a big way. They lucked into John Cena, and Jamel said earlier, John Cena was the last needle mover in for the ratings that the company had. John Cena was created. How many years ago now? 15 years ago was the peak of John Cena, or the beginning of the peak. There was a point where they were going to fire John Cena, and then they discovered that he could rap, and then they gave him another chance. John Cena wasn't even supposed to be the main guy when they decided to go with him. They thought Dave Bautista was going to be that guy. Who got the main event at WrestleMania 21? It was Batista versus Triple H. Yeah, probably partly because Triple H was in the match, but Dave Bautista was looked at as like, this is our superstar. This is our big guy. And it became readily apparent after John Cena won the WWE title at WrestleMania 21 that we got to go with John Cena. We got to go with John Cena. They put John Cena on Raw, which is still the place where WWE really cares, and then Batista was put on SmackDown. And Batista knew what happened, and he wasn't happy about it. If you remember, Batista wound up getting into a very real backstage brawl with Booker T, who thought that Batista was coming over with an attitude from Raw onto SmackDown. And that's when the brand split still mattered. Tonight, WWE has told you that the brand split doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters. Wins and losses don't matter. Rosters don't matter. The brand split doesn't matter.
It's a free-for-all.
It's just a free-for-all. Nothing matters. So what are you watching the show for? Nothing matters. Isn't that a great message to send to your audience? Wow. Exciting. Grash in the chat room tonight. Hello, sir. How are you? Man, I'm already starting to sweat, and we haven't even really begun talking about Raw yet.
We talked about two things, I think.
Yeah, no, we did. We did. We delved into it a lot. And the scary thing is we're just scratching the surface on the issues in this company. We really are. We are just touching the surface of the issues in this company. The formulaic matches every week that you've seen umpteen amounts of time for the last near decade since they settled on this formula, the WWE style formula match. The writing, the promos, the inability to create superstars, the inability to act when you have a hot hand. How about that? How many times have they missed a guy or even giving that person a chance when they were hot? Many, many times. This is there's a lot that needs to be done, and hot shotting a couple angles in one night is not going to do it. Not at all. And yeah, let's just keep going here. Okay. So we got Vince, we talked about the wild card rule. Out next was AJ Styles asking Vince what he's doing, allowing all these guys to come over. He just came over here a few weeks ago, and now, and the whole time for years he was on SmackDown as the house that AJ Styles built, and now Vince is allowing Seth Rollins' pal Roman Reigns back on the show. Maybe tomorrow he'll go to SmackDown with some friends. So I'm assuming tomorrow it could possibly be AJ Styles and the club going over or something like that. And because they're allowing 4 people to go over now, maybe Seth Rollins will go over. Maybe we'll have a 3-on-2 handicap match with the club versus Reigns and Rollins or something like that. Seth Rollins came out, said that SmackDown wasn't built by him. It was 1,000 episodes in. The show was fine before, and it's fine after Styles. But you're on Rollins' show. This is Monday Night Rollins. I don't like you, pretty much. I guess it's pretty much true. I'm trying to just read through this thing as quickly as possible. Styles said, I shook your hand, but you kept talking. You threw the title in my face. Whatever. I was trying to walk away. You kept talking. If you're not going to treat me like a man, then I'm going to be a man that can kick your ass. And I didn't just put you through tables with a phenomenal forearm Not much will change at Money in the Bank except that I will be the new WWE Universal Champion. So Vince McMahon, making 2 WrestleMania rematches for tonight, also said, "Oh, how about you guys compete tonight?" And the crowd got excited, and then he pulled the rug out from under them, as he should, totally should. That this was fine. He said, "You're going to have to team up together." How many times have we seen this build now?
Yeah, I mean,
how many times have we seen the challenger and the champion
having
to team up
together? And again, like we said before, the formulated, interactions with you speak, I speak, you speak, I speak.
Yes. The
this
formulaic,
was a perfect example of that.
And then we had a formulaic tag match after that with AJ Styles and Seth Rollins against Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin. Formulaic as it gets. They do a couple simple lockups, a side headlock. Rollins and Styles knock Lashley and Corbin out of the ring, and then they hit them with planchas, and Styles and Rollins are standing tall. We come back, we see Lashley send Rollins sternum first in the corner. Like that. Of course, the heels dominate, and then, okay. Here's another issue. And I just remembered this because this was 7.5 hours ago that this match happened. Just kidding. It was only 3. But how about these moves also? So like wins and losses don't mean anything, yeah? Brand split doesn't mean anything. Moves don't mean anything either. They do so many dives every week that mean nothing.
I know what you're about to say.
That don't play into the finish of the match, that don't even transition to a move where they're working on the freaking body part that was affected by the dive. It's just a dive for the sake of dives because they don't know how to get a reaction from the crowd anymore, so they have to make them ooh and ah with a trampoline act. That's not pro wrestling. The crowd has been conditioned to only care about a few things in the match.
Spots.
A few things. They're conditioned to care about the dive. They're conditioned to care about the finisher. And they're
top rope stuff.
And the finisher kick out. That's it. That's all. That's pretty much it. They've been conditioned for this. That the only thing that matters is, okay, the dive happened. That's cool. But I'm going to sit on my hands for the rest of the match. You can uncondition the crowd out of the dive. Bobby Lashley tonight, a guy who should never do any type of dive, nearly killed himself. And I'm not exaggerating. He almost killed himself tonight trying to do a Big E Langston spear, which Big E shouldn't be doing. Big E shouldn't be doing the damn spear up the apron. He tried to do the exact same thing to Rollins. His feet got caught up in the ropes, and he's lucky. He immediately, imagine this is the apron, my palm right here. That was his ribs onto the apron. And it's lucky because that broke his fall from landing directly on his head, spiking himself on his head. What the hell is Bobby Lashley now doing a freaking dive for? Spears AJ Styles off the apron, and guess what? None of that played at all into the finish.
No sell.
None of it at all.
I'm fine. No big deal.
Lashley got up, and then they just started attacking, the back. I thought Spears hurt the ribs. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. And then it just went to commercial break pretty soon after that. And then they come back, and Seth and AJ Styles maybe accidentally hits Seth Rollins with the phenomenal forearm, and then he walks off, and Baron Corbin hits Rollins with the end of days to win. So that stupid spear that Bobby Lashley almost freaking got hurt on meant nothing. Why do it at all? That's what that's so much of what goes through my mind on this show is, why are they doing this?
And your thought is, why are they doing this? And their thought is, why not?
Right. Why not?
That's their thought.
Maybe because
why not?
Maybe because you want to keep these guys healthy.
That's their thought, though. Why not?
It's just like, well, this just seems like a good spot to just get a pop from the crowd.
Yeah.
Go out there and almost kill yourself. Great idea. Bobby Lashley. I think Sasha Banks would probably be better at doing planches than Bobby Lashley.
Let's not go crazy here.
I mean, at least he literally almost pile drove himself on the floor.
Yeah,
At least she manages to kind of land on her upper chest.
Excuse me, we're not talking positively about this woman. All right, thank you. She's nowhere near.
Well, here's the one thing. Go on. I'm sorry.
The one positive thing I will say about this whole interaction is that I am genuinely interested and invested into even if it's a formulaic type of interaction. I am genuinely interested though in AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. I find the two of them very appealing in the sense of their ring ability and their just overall I just like them. So although formulaic with their interaction, still to me I'm very interested in them. So I can for those particular two forgive them for that. But the matches itself, I mean, they put on great matches. There's no doubt about it. But when you have involved Baron Corbin and Bobby Lashley, that's where I lose interest.
Yeah, I know. And they think Baron Corbin has heat. It's like there's heat. And
wasn't as strong.
There's good heat and there's not good heat. I
wasn't really as strong though.
There's good heat. There's not good heat, and I actually think that Baron Corbin probably has the not good heat that people. They don't really care about seeing him get his ass kicked. They just don't care about seeing him at all, and they'd rather watch something else rather than wait to see this guy get his ass kicked because the payoff is not worth the pain.
I don't think though that I think he had genuinely. I think he definitely did have heat for sure, and he still definitely does have heat. But I don't necessarily know if it's as strong as it was because people don't care, and I think people are just under the assumption that, well, he's just going to be here anyway.
Mm.
So people tolerate him, I think, at this point.
Well, yeah, because they know they're not going to get rid of him.
No,
they hear the boos that he got that night when they said that the crowd was the authority, which even Roman Reigns came out and said that was a lie. So that was scripted for them to say it was a lie. So that makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. They heard the boos that Baron Corbin got that night when in the ring, that same Raw. He's not going anywhere. They think that that's good heat. I don't think that that's the heat that they're looking for here. One thing I did like on the show tonight. Now, we've talked about, we liked the Sami Zayn thing. We liked it. We got a kick out of it. But after 4 weeks of the same promo and nothing, and it coming at the end of a really long Raw, and you already feel like a dickhead for watching the show for 2.5 hours already, and then you have somebody scripted to come out and call you a dickhead. Not good. So it seems like, and I feel for him. This was not the kind of feud starting angle with Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn. What happened was Sami Zayn was coming out basically calling everybody dickheads, for, oh yeah, you all like this, but you'll be miserable tomorrow. Yes. And I never liked it to begin with. So how about that?
Joke's on you, Sammy.
But, even the commentators were talking over him because I think that they realized that giant drop in the third hour last week, Sami Zayn was part of that third hour. They just said it really felt like they just said we got to give Sami Zayn a little time out here.
Well, storyline perspective too. It's not that they're thinking logically by any means, but 4 weeks of this nonsense, someone has to be pissed off backstage.
Right, and it turned out to be Braun Strowman, who chased Sami Zayn to the back, threw him into a dumpster, and then out of nowhere, almost like it was planned, a garbage truck just showed up at 8 o'clock at night in Cincinnati to pick up this dumpster.
It happens all the time.
So Sami Zayn was put into a garbage truck and compacted. So It didn't feel like that was the start of a feud with Braun Strowman. Of course, he'll come back from the dead next week and probably challenge him at the Money in the Bank match.
With no bangs and bruises at all.
No. Sami Zayn's going to cost Braun Strowman the Money in the Bank match. That's what's going to happen. And then we're going to have Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn feud for the entire summer. And then Sami Zayn will recreate Lashley's sisters with Strowman's brothers or something like that, and have a bunch of giant women with beards in the ring.
Oh man,
it's gonna be a long summer. It's gonna be a long summer if that's the case.
Oh boy.
But I think they're giving Sami Zayn a timeout here, and not his fault, but they just are. Lucha House Party beat 3 unknown wrestlers. They did a lot of squash matches tonight, which actually I kind of appreciated a little bit.
Why?
It just makes, it's innocuous and it's just fun little
No, I was just curious.
like I kind of like, just watching just people get beat down, and just because I already felt beat down, so I just enjoy it.
You wanted to feel their pain. Of what we were feeling.
Yeah, like I can totally relate. We have Fabgom 20 in the room. Vince needs to be retired. Let the wrestlers or trips be more creative and take risks under the condition of the wrestlers have the responsibility for their own actions. I don't know. I don't know about all that, but I definitely think that,
I am team Triple H of being in charge.
But they are very afraid of what will happen if Vince were to step away. They made it very clear. And the XFL they got a big TV deal they announced today.
Yes.
But they made it clear that Vince is doing both. He's not going to be stepping away from WWE at all because they're very afraid of what will happen with the stocks then. Shifty Gizm also in the room, so that's Lex in the room. Hello, Lex. And Daniel Shell wants to know where you got your shirt, Victoria.
Target.
There you go. Yeah, that's where you get
Cash.
that's where you get all the good stuff. I think I got my Pink Floyd shirt from
Johnny Cash.
Although I've worn the shirt so much, the Pink Floyd's kind of like worn
I think
away.
It was Express.
Oh, this was Express?
That was Express. Mine's Target.
All right, well.
Mine's more affordable.
Yeah. Mine's
Johnny Cash.
Yeah, right. Anyway, what the hell was I saying before?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm moving on.
Thanks, Daniel.
I'm moving on. Thank you. I have no idea what I said. Oh.
I can talk about my tire all evening if you want.
No, I know. No, but I think we were saying Triple H.
I am a fan of Triple H taking over. To be honest with you.
Yeah. I
don't know.
It could be something. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, when Adam Martin was in Iowa at the Raw there, Robert Roode debuted, and this beautiful mustache.
So beautiful.
If Victoria wasn't pregnant, she'd be pregnant right now because of that mustache. So, he was a little too late to the party, but he faced Ricochet 2 weeks ago, and Ricochet, who still is relatively new to the roster and can be a superstar if they had any clue what to do with him.
If they use him correctly.
If they even knew how to use him correctly, which I don't think they do not know how to use him correctly. They do not. Anyway.
Let them use him correctly.
They won't. And what do they call that? Where everybody like whispers into the microphone. It's like, oh yes, Ricochet and Robert Roode. What is that called?
I'm trying to do
that's that like trend
subliminal
going on.
messaging.
No, that's that trend going on where people listen to people whisper about things and think it's like soothing.
Oh, I'm so out of the loop. I have no idea.
I remember hearing about it. I can't remember. Of course, Lex got it. ASMR, which is like,
what is that?
It's like something audio sensory meridian response or something like that. Oh, everybody knows. Jamel and Quentin also jumped in.
What?
ASMR.
How do I not know this?
It's the new trend. They even did a Super Bowl commercial with it with Alicia Keys. Remember that thing where did the whole thing? Yeah, that's.
I am so out of the loop.
It's a thing, but that's what we sound like we're doing. Anyway, Ricochet lost to Robert Roode 2 weeks ago, and Robert Roode could have beat anybody. He could have beat Heath Slater, but they had him beat Ricochet. And then the next week, Ricochet goes into the Money in the Bank ladder match. And now I think they realize that they really screwed up. It really did feel like an effort to try to turn things around. They weren't successful with it tonight. But one of the things they tried to write was Ricochet needs to get that win back and move on from this. Ricochet, his spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match was on the line in this match as well. He easily defeated Robert Roode in a very short match, crushed him with a 630. Absolutely crushed this guy. Oh my goodness, he crushed him with a 630. Let me see if I can get this replay going here and show you just how badly. Oh my, yeah, I mean, full force crush. And I hope Robert Roode gets involved in something, but it shouldn't be beating Ricochet. Anyway,
Robert.
Robert. Okay.
Why?
Ashley said that ASMR stands for a shitty Monday Night Raw. That's good stuff.
Truth.
That's good stuff. Lacey Evans beats this lady, Ali Katrina, in the ring in a great squash match. I enjoyed it. This is probably one segment I really enjoyed on the show tonight. She invited all the women from the Raw side of in the Money in the Bank match to come out and watch her, and she warned them not to cash in on her when she beats Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch came out and they had another brawl. It was totally fine. Oh, another thing I liked on the show tonight as well was Rey Mysterio walking backstage with Dominic, and Rey goes into his locker room, Dominic goes somewhere else, Samoa Joe winds up behind Dominic.
Yeah.
And you think that, and then it goes to commercial break, and you think that it's going to come back from commercial break and Samoa Joe's going to have Dominic in a coquina clutch, but instead they pulled a fast one, which was actually kind of nice, and just had Samoa Joe saying, you've been around for a long time. It seemed like you wanted to humiliate me last week, so is it because of what I did to your father in front of 80,000 people at WrestleMania? Well, and then he just gave Dominic a message for his father, which was he's looking forward to defending the title against him at Money in the Bank, not a coquina clutch. And then Dominic just walked off. I like that.
Me too. It was not expected at all because the way he was like stalking him, it was
right.
You were not expecting that.
The threat of the physical action was enough. I didn't actually have to see it. Sometimes you don't have to throw out the. Sometimes you don't.
Good.
Right. Sometimes you don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater in some of these things. You know what I mean?
It was great.
It was.
That was good.
What's next? Viking Raiders versus Hawkins and Ryder. If you need any reference to show, or I'm sorry, not reference, evidence to show just how not over the Raw Tag Team Champions are in Hawkins and Ryder, just watch this match. Yes, this crowd was dead the entire night, but they were particularly dead for this match. Nobody cares about Hawkins and Ryder. Nobody wants to see them together. Nobody wants to see them as tag team champions. Nobody wants to see them make a hot tag and come back. But they did enjoy the Viking Raiders killing them. So that was something. Good way. Good. The tag team division is doing so
solid.
Well. So well.
Solid.
So well. Firefly Funhouse. This was actually good too. I enjoyed this. Creepy fun. And they actually had children on the show tonight, and they all looked miserable, which was great too. Like they're like this is. It's almost like the Firefly Funhouse is turning out to be purgatory, and these children are just stuck in purgatory with Bray Wyatt. It's an interesting thing, but just the juxtaposition of Bray Wyatt being cheerfully waving and these kids looking miserable, and it was creepy as hell and a lot of fun.
It's brilliant.
It is a lot of fun.
That is brilliant.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. And I think that's about everything we covered on Raw tonight. Though I do have to say, Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre got a crummy finish. The Miz attacked Shane McMahon with a chair.
Well, how could you forget that?
Yeah, well, that was something. Charlie Caruso, by the way, was like booked the worst I've ever seen her.
I love how Corey Graves is like, she's got to be the worst interview in history.
I know. It was something because Shane ran away when Miz came out to make the save when they were double teaming Roman Reigns. He ran away. Miz makes the save and he hides and the Miz runs by him. And then out of nowhere, Charlie Caruso just blows his hiding spot. He's like, Shane, what do you think of this? With Shane. And then he runs away and she goes, come on, let's go. And then she's chasing him. Shane, what do you say? And then Shane gets to his limo and goes to get in, and he opens up the door incorrectly. He has the door in front of him, and he's just standing there waiting for the Miz to attack. It was so blatantly obvious. Miz missed his mark a little bit there.
Excuse me.
He did. Let's not mince words here. He missed his mark, but it was a fine brawl. It was a fine brawl. Whatever. You got two guys that are kind of clunky every now and then. Together, you're gonna get some clunky moments. Yeah, actually, I even have a GIF of it, which is just like hilarious.
Dare you?
He's opening the door. What am I doing? There it is. Yeah, he does. Apparently, Shane doesn't know how to open a door. It's probably from all those concussions he's gotten doing all these crazy dives through the years. Frank McMahon, Raw was a 0 out of 10. Joe hasn't even choked out Dominic once. Yes, Shifty, thank you for reminding me. Corey Graves also got a haircut tonight. Shaved his head, so he's got a buzz cut right now.
I don't like it.
I liked it. I think his hair is weird.
I don't like it.
I don't know. Maybe Carmelo didn't like it anymore. So the main event, the main event, I have to say was good. You know, Kofi Kingston defending the WWE title against Daniel Bryan, the first time we've seen Bryan anywhere since WrestleMania. They had a good match. They had a really good match. You know, to cap off a crummy show. The crowd was totally dead for it, but they worked hard. I thought they put out something halfway decent, so that kind of saved it a little bit.
Again,
for me.
Those are two that it's very forgiving because of they themselves like just being great together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's forgiving for anything, like even if it's not like spectacular, it's still, to me, engaging and interesting and something I like watching.
Sure.
So that's something, you know, that at least for all the negativity that happened tonight, at least it ended on a positive with them, because
I agree.
That was something that I was excited about, and it definitely didn't make everything all worth watching, but if I had to like suffer, at least that was a good way to end the show. Yeah,
I know. Yep. Bobby Strauss in the room. Good evening, all. The Rambling Rabbit in the Funhouse segment played the role of the Raw script this week, getting eaten alive by Mercy the Buzzard. At least the rabbit got the mercy kill. I didn't. So that kind of stinks. But yeah, that's pretty much Raw. You know, this was just a microcosm of just the many, many issues plaguing the main roster side of this company, at least. You know, economically, they're fine. You know, nothing. They don't have to change anything. You know, we're just shouting into a giant cathedral here. There's nothing, you know, going to really change. You know, it's foolproof. It's idiot-proof. They have no incentive to change. They can, you know, you can have all these people that say, "Oh, they're shook by AEW." They're really not
shook.
You
took my thing. I was just gonna be like, "Ooh, maybe AEW is scaring them."
No, they are not shook by AEW. I can tell you.
They can care less.
They'll make fun of them and stuff like that, and give them a little credence. But this company is set for quite some time with economically. They're set even, you know, with their TV stuff too. No matter how bad it gets, people are, you know, networks are paying big money to have these shows on, $1 billion. You know, that says it all. But, you know, for the people that still have to watch, the people that don't make any money off this, you know, just the regular viewer, they want a little more than what they're getting. And there's a lot of issues that
I want more.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues in this company that, you know, are it's just gonna be a slog, and I don't know if it'll ever get better.
There was a time when I really looked forward to Monday nights.
Yeah, no, and I still do. I mean,
I do for this.
I look forward to it for this show.
I do for this.
Yeah.
If it weren't for this, there's no way I'd be watching that show. At least all the way through.
Right. Well, there's just no stars on these shows. There's a bunch of people.
I would not watch it all the way through.
Yes.
As opposed to when I used to, when I was watching it.
Right. But there's no stars on the show anymore. It's just a bunch of people that they win every now and then, but there's nothing really special about anybody. You know, and that is a real problem with this show. That is, and you know, but we talked about so many issues on the show. If you didn't catch us talking about all the issues of the show, go back to the beginning, give it a watch. You know, I started sweating talking about all this stuff because it's just
you're really heated tonight.
It's just so much. Yeah, I was extra salty tonight. Let's take a look at what everybody thought of the show. Maybe I'm off. Maybe our followers on Twitter think differently than I do. Oops, no, they don't. It's 78% thumbs down. Okay. And the wild card thing, it's at least going to continue into tomorrow. I'll be interested to see what the ratings are when they come out. because that is still the be all end all for this company.
I don't imagine it'll be very good.
So it should be interesting. Should be an interesting few weeks. But we want to say thank you to everybody who tunes in to watch us tonight. We have a lot of people watching us right now, which is kind of really, really cool.
Thank you.
I know. Yeah, it's really awesome. We thank you. If you're listening to us for the first time or seeing us live for the first time, please find us on Spotify, Wrestleview Media, and subscribe. You can get the audio version of this podcast as well. Be sure to tune in on Wednesday for Wrestleview Weekly with Big Doug Lackey, where he talks about all the news and notes and reviews of WWE and the wrestling world in general, as well as the world famous WWE milk carton.
I love the milk carton.
I do like the milk carton too.
So good.
But yeah, we're gonna bring this baby in for a landing tonight. But we just want. Oh yeah, we do have our little baby too. But we do really thank you all for tuning in. Actually, no, before I leave, Jamel goes, bring back the Championship Scramble or Raw Roulette. Or yeah, these are all like one night things. Maybe every week they'll try something to pop a rating. Let's bring back Raw Roulette. Let's do Championship Scramble. Let's do let's do a TLC main event just for the hell of it. It's like, or let's bring back Bob Barker to host the show. It's like, oh my god. Or bring back Jeremy Piven to call it Summerfest. There's a lot of things they can do to pop ratings. Maybe they can have Trump buy Raw again. That would be a big coup, right? Oh boy, it's WWE. We're here talking about it. We'll be here next week talking about it again. And we hope you'll be here with us to talk about it with us. Everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm Mike Tedesco.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Have a great evening. Have a good week.